Well, Greg and I are back in on the home farm. I told Greg I've hunted this farm since I've been like 14 years old. I'm 28 now, so we're going to a stand tonight where I've got a lot of history. I've killed a couple 6-year-olds out of the stand over the years, so it's on a big ridge. It's overlooking right behind it's like a white pine. Horseshoes the big timber, and we're sitting up kind of on the high side of it, blowing northwest wind towards the fields, hunting these bucks maybe coming out of some bedding cover. Should be scrapes all along the white pines as we go in, and we'll kind of check that. But gorgeous night, a little bit warm. It's mid 60s, and tomorrow that cold front's hitting here in southeast Iowa. Going to be highs in the 40s, so tomorrow could be really rocking if we don't see much tonight. But we're gonna get into this historic stand, see what we can conjure up. We walked in there maybe 50 yards and the scrape's just getting hammered, so sure it's gonna be like this the whole way up into this stuff. It's just so thick and woolly. We've got some trails cut out, but as you can see, the scrape's just hammered. Well, Greg and I got in here pretty good. Got the stand set up, and man, the wind helped us get away with a lot of, not that we make a lot of noise, but the wind of buck behind us. Well, we've had some pretty good action so far. I was just getting ready to tell Greg a story about this stand, and we had those little buck and 4 does come through. Back in 2010 or 11, I had an incredible hunt out of this stand, one I will never forget. It was mid-November, like the 14th or 15th, and it'd been kind of one of those long, drawn-out ruts. Hadn't seen much chasing, and it was an evening, and I had a doe come down this hill out in front of me, and behind her here, bat, little grunting, and a 3-year-old pushed her right to my left, and I watched him breed this doe for like 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm sitting there thinking, where are these old deer? And I had at the time an old buck I called Ridge Runner, 6 or 7, I have 3 years of his sheds, and lo and behold, the second he gets done breeding her up on this ridge just to my west, I hear 4 or 5 deep grunts. Burr, burr, burr. He comes into 20 yards, nudges the little buck off. The doe comes to the base of the tree here, and this is where the story gets a little wild. I had an arrow knocked, and I just must have had enough tension. I bumped my release, and it just pew right in front of the doe's nose, and she looked up, but wasn't as alarmed as I thought. And the second she calmed down, I reached, knocked an arrow, and I shot the old boy at the base of the tree here, and it was just a giant-bodied, chocolate-racked 6 or 7-year-old, and it was just one of the coolest hunts I've ever, to witness a little buck breed a doe, and then a big boy come in and push him off. It was pretty cool. Hunts like that are pretty hard to forget. They're what we're out here for. So far tonight's been pretty good. We got turkeys, and we've seen a little guy, and 3 or 4 does, but you know, as this front's moving in, it's super windy. So the wind's picked up even more since we've gotten the tree, and we're not really too far. We're one ridge over from where Greg and I hunted the Outlaw last Sunday, so 2 Sundays ago now, but there's a handful of really good deer in here, at least really mature deer. So big giant old 7-pointer, the Outlaw, and a couple others. So if we could lay our eyes on any of them, that'd be really cool. So we're just gonna wait and watch. Oh, it's a 4-year-old. He's 4. Let him go, let him go. Well, just got back to the truck. Man, was it cold. It cooled down there the last 40 minutes. Still really windy. Had really good action there. I mean, right when we got in the stand and saw that really good. Kind of debated. I think he's 4. I've got pictures of him this year and last year. Awesome buck. Really cool encounter. Came in, nudged some does around, grunted a couple times. I mean, we're this close to having one of the older deer do the same thing, but man, these temps are going to just keep dropping. I think the high tomorrow is only 40. Today was 60. At this point in the season, you know, we're just kind of easing into the farm. Especially tonight, we kind of pushed in a little ways, and there's a couple of really good spots in this farm that I haven't really pushed into yet. I've got an awesome spot off a CRP field that you can see these big cedars. The CRP field funnels to a cut bean field, and just kind of holding off. It's a long ways back in there, and you know, obviously, ideally, the first sit of the stand is when you're going to kill. You know, the more times you put human scent in the area, you know, less likely you are to maybe kill them. So we're going to keep easing into this farm. You know, it's you know, getting closer, but it's not obviously, you know, prime time yet. So we're going to keep holding off till maybe, you know, early part of mid-November. But we've got some really cool setups in here. Hopefully get a chance to see them before we get on the ground. Only thing tonight, we had that really cool encounter with that 4-year-old, and Greg and I just kept thinking maybe at last light the Outlaw would show up, or the big old 7, one of those deer that have been hitting this farm fairly regularly would show up. I mean, Greg and I hunted right across the same ridge 2 weeks ago, and when we were getting pretty consistently on the cameras, but Didn't show tonight, but we're going to keep after him, and I know the rest of the week we're going to try on some other big ones, the Joker and maybe El Macho and the 6x6, but with this cold front coming in, it's only a matter of time before we get our eyes on one of them.